vitality so that you can crush it, right? You want to get things done. You want to have your brain switch on. You want to feel limitless. Let's think about what kind of things you might consider. So for some of you, that mental focus, clarity, and have feeling of limitless means nootropics. So anyone seen Bradley Cooper's sorry, Bradley Cooper's movie Limitless, NZT48? You will understand what I'm talking about. So some people, that's actually, I don't know if you know this, right? But NZT48 is actually based on a real nootropic drug. It's actually, there's a basis of real, it's actually based on modafinil. So modafinil is a prescription drug used to treat narcolepsy. And, you know, when people talk and just fall asleep. So that's what it's meant to be treating. But in Silicon Valley, Ivy League university, a lot of students, a lot of people who are looking for an edge take nootropics to help them give that boost. It's not to the same extent as you will see in the movie, but it does take you quite far there. You can literally work 12 hours and you feel so sharp, like I mean, almost everything just blurs out and all you do is just work. That's what it feels like. And it doesn't create a sense of addiction. It's not like an amphetamine. It's got all these withdrawal issues. So that's why it's very, very popular. So that's one option. I mean, you can look at that. Other options people look for in terms of boosting brain focus and brain power will be things like caffeine, right? Caffeinated drinks like coffee, espresso, Red Bull. Actually, Red Bull is like caffeine and sugar. Caffeine, sugar. Sugar is another way people keep their brain going. So they're all options, right? Caffeine is another option. Stimulants, food-based stimulants. Other option is sugar. People can take sugar to do that. What else do people take? Okay, I'm wondering. You know, put in a comment. What else do you think you would take when you're trying to get this feeling of being limitless? I've got some thoughts about that because I think that none of those options are really ideal. So if you think about nootropics, what that means is you're taking a drug, you're dependent on that drug to perform or not perform. So you saw in a movie, Limitless, at the end, when he doesn't have the drug, he's just Mr. Average. He's so, he can't focus, he can't think straight. And that's not what you will like. If you're an entrepreneur, you're someone who is ambitious and successful, you don't want to have this reliance on any single thing. And if you don't have it, you can't function, right? What you do want is to create a solid foundation where if you do take that takes you beyond superhuman, beyond human, beyond what's achievable through your, you know, from just doing, you know, health and diet and getting yourself, getting all your foundations right. It takes you beyond average. But if you take it, you haven't worked on anything else, you become dependent on it. And secondly, you can't really reach your, you know, feel what it feels like beyond nature's intention. You only get to a certain level and then that's it. That's all you feel. So that's the downside with caffeine. For a lot of people, they get wired, but they feel wired and tired. I don't know if you know what that feels like. And one of the executives I was coaching, that's exactly what it does to him. That's why he doesn't drink coffee. He gets wired, but he's tired. Actually, he's so hyper, he's mentally, he can't actually focus. It's just like, and then he really, really can't focus. So that's not good. And also they got this energy roller coaster. They this caffeine peak, and then they get a trough, or they just feel so low, then they need the next hit. And depending on some gene mutations, so some people like COMT, they've got fast COMT, they clear out the catecholamine, like these stimulating neurotransmitters and hormones really, really fast. Therefore, they get a trough really, really quickly, and then they need another hit, and then it's just that energy roller coaster. So caffeine is also not ideal for a lot of people. And looking at things like sugar, you got the problem of diabetes, people having too much sugar. And reality is you don't need that much sugar. Your body, your entire blood, entire body only have 1 teaspoon of sugar at any one time. 1 teaspoon, right? If you think about the amount of sugar in a can of Coke, I think it was 14, 15 teaspoons. You really don't need that, right, to function. And if you do, you depend on sugar to be able to think, then there is still something fundamentally wrong with your metabolism. So what other options do you have? In my opinion, these are all band-aids, right? Taking a pill, taking caffeine, taking sugar, it's all band-aid. In my opinion and my experience, you need a system. You need to build a layer, like a 4-story luxury mansion. You have to have the foundation, you have to layer things on top of it. You have to look at your whole body as a system. In software engineering, in also management theory, we call that system thinking. You think of your body, which is what your body is. It's a complex, adaptive system. A lot of interacting part. Your brain affects your gut. Your gut microbiome feeds more signal to your brain than your brain feeds to the gut, right? But they interact. When your brain is stressed, your gut can't digest. And when you can't digest, it gets stressed. It sends signal back to your brain to say, I'm stressed, and actually make you feel even more stressed, right? So it's a cycle, right? Your heart is affected by how you breathe, and your breathing affects your heart, right? Everything is all interlinked. Your body is so beautifully designed. You're a wonderfully created creature of God. It's complex. It's not simple. When you're trying to deal with a complex system with a single solution, that's where we fail. It's also part of my gripe with modern day science, which is very much this reductionist thinking. I feel it's quite hubris for human being to think we can reduce everything to a single element and that's all we test. I'm not sure if you heard this, but in some experiment, some rat experiments based on who's feeding the rat, whether they're female or male person feeding the rat, actually changes the result or the outcome of that experiment. And the moon actually influences our hormonal cycles, right? Like, come on, like how can we, are you saying you create an experiment, you control for everything? How can you possibly control everything? Sorry, that's a bit of sidetrack where I just about gripe with the ego, the people that think we can control and we know everything. Ultimately, whatever we try, it has to work for you. If it doesn't work for you, that's all it matters. It doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. If it works for you, whether science understands it or not, doesn't matter. So my suggestion is look, whatever you choose, don't just look for one factor. Think of your multiple factors. Think of your diet plays into your sleep, plays into your exercise, plays into your recovery, plays in your psychology. There are multiple factors that you need to keep in mind if this is what you want. If you want peak performance that lasts and lasts and lasts for the rest of your life, that is what you need to think about. All right, that's enough of me sharing, and just I'll get off my soapbox now and got the rest of my life to lead. I gotta go take my son out in a second. All right, take care, guys. Have a great, awesome